Hello everybody, good morning. My name is C.Shottler and welcome to my entrepreneurship reflection project. So today I'll be covering the top 10 concepts that I'll be taking with me for the rest of my life in my career and in my business ventures. So I'd like to get started with number one, the entrepreneurship definition. Professor Howard Stevenson's definition of it is the pursuit of opportunity beyond resources controlled. So it's not really a concrete definition. It's more of a guideline that entrepreneurs should follow, and this like hones in and resonates with what I learned also about the MVP, the minimum viable product, which is just getting a product out there and then taking it from there. Getting a minimum viable product out there allows you to gain other resources that you don't have from the beginning. So I really like that definition that the professor provided. It's really a methodology entrepreneurs should follow. And yeah, so that would be my number one concept. So my second concept that I'll take with me is, who are entrepreneurs and what characteristics do they have? Entrepreneurs, they are determined, they're resilient, they're relentless, they do whatever it takes to make their idea come to life and flourish. And so one quote that I like that I've learned from my career is you're either committed or compliant. You're committed to the goal. You do what it takes to attain these goals. You don't let obstacles hold you down. You let obstacles become part of the journey. Another quote that I like, that I think explains entrepreneurs is you either evolve or you dissolve, right? So given the circumstances of whatever your situation may be, you're either gonna evolve from it, adapt and learn and get back up, or you're gonna dissolve and your idea is gonna go to waste. So entrepreneurs, they are relentless, man. They prioritize their ideas over everything, even over family sometimes, even over sleep sometimes, even over having a well-being, a healthy lifestyle, or a wealthy lifestyle. Entrepreneurs, they don't mind sleeping in their car. They don't mind putting everything as a second priority. Entrepreneurs, they're leaders, they're committed, and they do whatever it takes, because downfalls, pitfalls, they will happen. No business venture is a seamless transition into wealth. That has never happened and never will. So entrepreneurs, they are simply committed. So another thing to point out though is that sometimes starting a business doesn't necessarily make you an entrepreneur, especially if you start a business and that's your main source of income. Doesn't really make you an entrepreneur. It's important to note that entrepreneurs are about development and growth into several businesses. So I like to I like learning about that because it's so true, especially in my experience. I know people that have companies, but that's their only source of income and they're content. Kudos, that's still a great thing to have, but it doesn't necessarily make you an entrepreneur. So that's important to note. So my third takeaway would be, where do entrepreneurs get their ideas from? And that's a nice view. So entrepreneurs, they could get their ideas from certain aspects. So sometimes ideas come from pain points. So in our course, we learned about this gentleman that had a daughter. Good morning. That that would have seizures, and she would have to take medicine to prevent these seizures. But the problem was that the medicine wasn't too tasteful, tasted nasty, matter of fact. And to get a kid or a child to take medicine that doesn't taste too good is a whole nother issue, right? So that's where his idea came from. That's where he decided, like, what if I make this medicine flavorful, and I solve the issue of my daughter in taking this medicine and all the other kids in the world. And that's where his idea came from. That's where Flavor X came from. And also, we also learned that it could be problems to greater society. So in India, babies were dying prematurely. So a group of people came up with the idea of creating a product to help cope with mothers losing their kids at birth. So ideas could come from pain point needs. Ideas could also come from recycling or reinvention. So the best example of that is Starbucks. They recycled the idea of not just buying coffee or making coffee at home, rather the experience of going to a cafe and then having a cup of coffee. Now Starbucks is in every corner, so they took like the cafe idea from other parts of the world, reinvented it, and now, I mean, who hasn't been to Starbucks, right? So ideas can be recycled, reinvented, or they can also come from hobbies, you know. Like if I in a perfect world, or later in my future, I would love to make an app or a theme park around sports. Like, I'm a big sports fan, so it can also come from hobbies. So that's my third concept. Where do ideas come from? Either pain points, they get recycled or reinvented, or from hobbies. My fourth concept that I'll take with me is the blue ocean strategy. Like, I was really intrigued by learning about the blue ocean strategy, because now when I take into consideration like some ideas I have, now I aim to be in the blue ocean, right? Where a blue ocean could be a market that's untouched. A good example is like GoPro. GoPro was the first time, you know, it's the first of its kind to be a mobile camera that you could take anywhere. So that's a blue ocean. And but a blue ocean doesn't necessarily have to be a brand new market. It could be within the same industry market, but you have to find a way to recreate value to have a blue ocean. We learned about a company called, I believe it's called Citizen M, where they're in the hotel industry. How old is the hotel industry, right? And how do you create a blue ocean? So they still were able to create a blue ocean in the hotel industry by analyzing their, you know, and recreating, developing their strategy. So what they did was reduce factors that customers didn't really like in hotels. They focused on what customers aim for, or guests aim for, and then enhance their business strategy. So what they did was, like, now their hotels, you check in at a kiosk. They don't have like employees for cleaning, employees for cooking, or restaurants, or employees to check in. They hire ambassadors, and which they kind of do everything. You know, they'll help you check in at the kiosk if you're having issues. They could grab you a drink at the bar, and they also clean. So they were able to cut their labor costs by a tremendous amount. Focus those costs on you know, giving their making their rooms more luxurious, and charging a 3-star price. So they were able to offer guests a 5-star hotel at a 3-star price. And I mean, who wouldn't like that? And I was actually just in Seattle, and I saw Citizen M getting to build a hotel in downtown Seattle. So you might see their growth in the US more and more. So yeah, the blue ocean strategy. Like, find yourself in the blue ocean where there's no competitors necessarily, or if there are, if it's still within like a hotel industry or another industry, how do you recreate that value? How do you innovate value in an industry that's already established? And there's ways, you just gotta find a way to do it. And once you're in a blue ocean, you'll reap the benefits. And it's important to note, blue oceans don't last forever. Once competitors see your success, they're sure enough, they're probably gonna copy your business strategy. So it's important to note that blue oceans usually become a red ocean at some point. So again, and once that happens, how do you recreate the value? So I really enjoyed learning about the blue ocean strategy, and it's definitely on my mind every time I think of all my ideas, because if you're not aiming for a blue ocean strategy or to be in a blue ocean, you might not be as successful as you want to be. So my fifth concept is, what business model to use for your startup. And there's a lot of business models you can use. There's no right one per se. But after learning about this, I would say for me, the one that makes most sense is the lean up startup model. So the lean up startup model, it focuses on creating an MVP first, minimum viable product, getting it to market, knowing that it's most likely going to fail, but that's part of the process. That's what you want. You want to be able to identify mistakes, opportunities, gain feedback from your customers. And in this model, you don't necessarily just listen to the customer. You just consider, their reviews and what they want, and all in the blend with the opportunities and mistakes you've identified with the MVP, and you adjust from there. Other business models consist of a lot of planning, a lot of marketing before a product goes to market, or a company goes to market, and when it comes out, it's not perfect, obviously, and they need to adjust, but they might have been using all of their resources on planning and marketing rather than just getting the product out there, and then from there using the resources that you have to adjust and make a better product. So yeah, the lean up startup model is the way to go, in my opinion. So my sixth concept is the entrepreneur process, and the Timmons model, to be exact. So the Timmons model, I'm a visual learner myself, so the Timmons model illustrates how the founder, the entrepreneur, is supposed to balance three components, which is your team, the entrepreneur team, the opportunity. Is the opportunity feasible? Is it worth it? And your resources. You got to find a way to balance all three, and in doing so, you'll be more effective. And then we got to understand that going through the process, it could be tough sometimes. Sometimes you'll be unbalanced, focusing more on the opportunity or focusing more on the resources. But what I think is key is that in the Timmons model, the team component is right above the entrepreneur, the founder, if you will, because having a great team is what really makes everything go. It's what really helps the founder find this balance, this strategic fit within their business venture. So the Timmons model, thank you. So my seventh concept, is what is the most significant resource to an entrepreneur? So I used to think, it was funding, money, right? Money, cash rules everything around me. Money buys you equipment, gives you other resources, but I don't think that's the most important one. Matter of fact, I think it's having the right team. Having the right team is the most significant resource to an entrepreneur, because that's what's going to allow you to expand and grow and develop, you know, your business idea. And that's what entrepreneurship is about: development, growth, not necessarily profits. So, and also having a team is, you can't do it on your own. So you need people to be committed as you are and be part of the journey. So yeah, so I used to think it was money or equipment or funding or mentors, which is, they're all, don't get me wrong, at some point it will be necessary, but it's not the most resourceful one, not the most significant one. That's having a team. So my 8th concept is finding the right team, right? I just spoke on team being the most significant resource. So finding the right team is key to your business venture, right? Because you're gonna have to find people that believe in your vision, believe in your goal, and you know, that's why being a leader, having leadership qualities is significant in an entrepreneur, because you gotta that'll allow you to attract the right people and not just hire employees, rather hire people that see the vision and are committed to it. And it's important to note that there will be unequal equals. What we learn, you know, you're gonna have people on your team that don't make as much money or don't have as much shares as maybe other people on the team or as you, but it's important to find that balance. Maybe you need to give them more piece, you know, a bigger piece of the pie, or a piece of the pie, so they know if the company ever succeeds and becomes big, they're going to be along there for the ride. So finding the right team, it's a process that entrepreneurs shouldn't overlook. Matter of fact, they should take their time with, because that's the key resource to finding success and achieving what you want to achieve. So my 8th takeaway is finding the right team. Take your time and do it right. So my 9th concept is exit strategy. Boy, was I wrong about this one. I always thought, you know, going into a business venture, if you're already thinking of it or already have thought about how are you going to exit, like you're already thinking of failing, you know, you're already setting yourself up for failure. But that's a misconception I had. Actually, having an exit strategy should be part of your business planning. You know, change is inevitable. Like change will occur to the market, to the clientele. Technology is constantly evolving. Look at Toys R Us. They just closed down. Like that's crazy. I never thought they would, but sure enough they did. And had they had a exit strategy in place, you know, they might have been able to better cope the situation or exit the market earlier and, you know, lose less money, if you will. So having an exit strategy doesn't mean it's not a bad thing. Actually, it's not. It's considering the reality of the business industry. Change will happen, and having an exit strategy in place is key. And there's certain exit strategies that you could have. You could have, you know, you could get acquired by a company, a bigger company. You could merge with another company. You could sell it to a family member or to another business partner. You know, the company doesn't necessarily have to end. Exit strategy is you letting go of that company. You know, also important to note, we don't live forever. I wish we did, but we don't. So what happens when you're older and you can't do the things you used to do? You can't manage how you used to do. You're gonna need an exit strategy, and an effective one at that. So like I started thinking about this because in my business venture and my ideas deal with a couple applications, which my exit strategy would be to get acquired by Google, so they can implement it into their maps, you know, and then maybe get some royalties off of that. I don't know, as I go, an exit strategy isn't, you know, concrete. It actually it develops as the business goes, as you intake how the market is, how the industry is changing, and that's where your exit strategy will then come into play. It'll develop and it'll adapt as you grow. And so yeah, I used to think exit strategy is a bad thing, but it really isn't. And it's good to know that you should be thinking, and if you're having a business idea, you should be thinking of of having an exit strategy in play for a lot of reasons, obviously. So yeah, that's a great concept to know. So my 10th takeaway would be the entrepreneur discovery project. It was quite the workload, Professor, but it was well worth it, I'll tell you. So I found an entrepreneur mentor that has helped me along the way. So Tico, thank you for that. You and your brother have helped me a tremendous amount in how to think. And ultimately, the point of the project is to discover, like, hey, am I an entrepreneur? And I believe so. After doing that, like, I found that I have characteristics of entrepreneur, of an entrepreneur, such as maximizing resources. I spoke on how when I was in school, I had a minimum wage job and didn't have a place to sleep, so I would couch surf and sleep in my car, and got a gym membership, so I was able to shower and brush my teeth. And yeah, and that's a good character, you know, maximizing resources that you have available and staying positive about it. And that's one thing Tico taught me, is like, you always got to stay positive regardless of the situation, and maximize your resource. Don't let negativity enter your mind. No matter how hard you fall, everyone falls and is going to fall. You just got to get back up. So yeah, the discovery project really meant a lot to me, because now I'm excited to get started on my business ventures. And it's kind of like this hike, you know, you got to just go slowly but surely. You're gonna slip, you might fall. I almost fell a couple times on this hike, but if you you know, stay the course, stay committed to your vision, you'll get there. And then one day you might be at the top of your mountain, kind of like I am right now. So Professor, thank you. It was a wonderful course, and I look forward to see what's next for me. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.